Hey, it's Christian with St. Augustine TV. Today, we're going to take a bit of a field trip. Actually, it's kind of an experiment. I've been curious about the downtown circulator ever since it started. The state gifted this to the city as a way to increase mobility and to reduce traffic. We're going to see how well it does that. Let's go. 3 years ago, the state of Florida handed St. Augustine a gift: 2 brand new buses, plus the funding to operate them. The idea was simple, almost too simple. Create a free circulator, reduce traffic, let visitors park once, and move easily between the city's major destinations. A smart solution for a city drowning in its own success. And then we got the route. For the last 3 years, the so-called Star Circulator, or downtown connector, has run a loop that's about a half mile in one direction and a half mile back, 3 stops every 15 minutes. About the same amount of time it takes to walk it. Its main function? Picking up people at the parking garage and helping them to avoid walking down St. George Street, arguably the one street in town everybody wants to walk down. Now, I've thought this was absurd for a long time, and when I mentioned it online, the response was, "What does it matter? The state pays for it." I was like, right, taxpayers, somewhere else. The logic has always kind of irked me. So over the years, I've kept my eye on it. And for a long time, I saw almost nobody using it. Well, once I saw 2 passengers. But today, to be fair, during spring break, I heard something surprising. By midday, the driver had carried 28 riders, which is more than 2. You know, I really like it. The bus itself is great. Clean, comfortable. Soft Spanish music was playing in the background. A friendly, professional driver. It's genuinely a pleasant experience. And it does serve a very modest purpose, especially for older visitors, families with kids, or anyone trying to escape the heat for a few minutes. But that's the frustrating part, because this thing could be doing so much more. Imagine a route that actually connects the city. From the historic downtown, you could go out to the lighthouse, which could also serve as a stop for the alligator farm. A stop on the way back in Davis Shores to serve those businesses. Then 2 stops downtown, a stop in Uptown to serve those businesses. You could then go to the Mission, and then out to the old jail, which would also serve the Fountain of Youth. And you have the Peanut right there, ready for a perfect turnaround spot. So now suddenly, you're not just moving people, you're spreading them out and connecting the city, reducing congestion, supporting local businesses beyond the core, actually functioning like a transportation system. Now you're hitting just about every major tourist destination within the city limits. You know, you could take this a step further and run it out to the St. Augustine Amphitheater during concerts or farmers market days. Combine this with the county resident discount at the parking garage. This encourages grabbing dinner downtown, then ride to the show. You know, visitors win, locals win, traffic wins, everybody wins. It's almost too logical. Which brings us to the uncomfortable part. The system is operated by Old Town Trolley Tours, the dominant trolley operator in town, and they're paid to run it. At the same time, their entire business model depends on selling trolley tours. So naturally, there's a question. How motivated are they to create a free service that sort of competes with their core product? Because right now, the circulator doesn't compete with anything. It barely competes with walking. Maybe that's just a coincidence, or maybe it's a design feature. It's also fair to ask why this contract went to an out-of-town operator in the first place, especially for something that isn't particularly complex to run. Meanwhile, the city and its residents continue to bend over backwards to accommodate the trolley ecosystem. At some point, you have to ask questions. Because in its current form, the circulator falls into a strange category. Not completely useless, but nowhere near useful. It doesn't meaningfully reduce traffic. It doesn't meaningfully expand access. It doesn't align with all the talk about mobility or sustainability. In fact, sitting idle or looping endlessly arguably adds to congestion, impacts sightlines, and underdelivers for the space that it takes up. And that's the irony. Everything about it is good: the buses, the experience, and the original intent. Except the one thing that matters most: how it's used. Because with a smarter route, this could heighten the visitor experience, support local businesses, and become a true utilitarian public service. Instead, it's a missed opportunity. And at best, that's a failure of imagination. And at worst, it's something else. So there you go. There's the free downtown connector. Is it the most useless public transportation in America? The main issue, it seems to be being constrained because the operator is the Old Town Trolley and it does not want to compete with itself. It also seems like they're trying to keep tourism downtown into this section instead of letting it blossom. But I'd really like to hear what you think. Do you think that the downtown connector could find a better use, be more useful to both visitors and residents, and be a true transportation alternative for those who are downtown and visiting? Let me know in the comments below. Also, if there's anybody in town that can help me understand what the relationship is between Old Town Trolley and the city, I'd love to know. Because ever since I've gotten here 11 years ago, I'm like, why does this city look like it's historic St. Augustine brought to you by Old Town Trolley? Thanks for watching. For more local history and content, don't forget to like and subscribe.